going on, y'all? Welcome back to the Swish podcast, man. I'm your host, Keywan Humphreys, and it's finally that time. It is finally time for the NBA Finals. Game 1 of the NBA Finals is tomorrow night, and I'm excited, man. In the blue corner, coming from the Eastern Conference, you got the Boston Celtics. In the red corner, coming from the Western Conference, you have the Dallas Mavericks. Man, this is, I don't know. I don't know if I feel the same way as several other NBA fans out there, but I feel like this is the most anticipated finals since back when LeBron was going up against the Warriors, because there's so much going on. There's so much like beneath the surface besides just Dallas versus Boston. You got, of course, Boston going for their 18th ring to have the most championships in the NBA, and you got Kyrie versus the Boston Celtics. We know about Kyrie's history with the Boston Celtics and how that whole situation happened. You got Kristaps Porzingis versus the Dallas Mavericks. He also played with the Dallas Mavericks a couple years ago with Luka. It didn't work out. He ended up moving on. And you also have the Luka Doncic versus Jason Tatum discourse, where some people say Jason Tatum they say he's had a better career than Luka Doncic, and I can say I would agree. I wouldn't compare Luka to Tatum, I guess, individually, but as far as, trying to win a championship and getting as close as possible to winning a championship, Tatum has been way further than Luka Doncic has. But before I dive into my predictions for the NBA Finals, I want to talk about each team and give my outlook on their season to kind of catch up people, because I know there's some of y'all out there that don't really watch the NBA to the finals. I want to kind of catch up those people to give them, to let them know, okay, what we looking at right here. So starting out with the Boston Celtics. Now, the Boston Celtics have been the best team from opening night to today. They finished with a 64-18 record, and I think back to last year in the Eastern Conference Finals. They went down 3-0 to the Miami Heat, and they fought back to force a Game 7, and one could say they might have won that Game 7 if Jason Tatum had not rolled his ankle in the opening seconds of that game. But Tatum ended up getting hurt, and the Heat ended up winning the game, going on to the finals. Now after that, a couple months go by, and they make a trade that really shakes up their roster and shakes up their core. Now, ever since Tatum got into the league, the core has been Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart. Excuse me. And you sprinkling in veterans. You had Kyrie come and go. You had Kemba Walker come and go. You had Brogdon come and go. But that was their core. That was the core they've been running with for the past 7-8 years. And they decided that this core is not going to work. They gave Jaylen Brown $300 million. Okay, so he's locked in. Jason Tatum got paid, I want to say, a couple years ago. He's locked in. We're going to move Marcus Smart for Kristaps Porzingis, and we're going to see how that makes our team look. And this might be the best season. This is the best season the Celtics have had with that since Tatum and Brown have been in the league, I believe. Because you added Kristaps Porzingis, and the way the Celtics played, which I'm going to dive into later in this video, Kristaps Porzingis complements that even well. Because before Kristaps got there, you had Robert Williams at the 5. Robert Williams was great defensively, but offensively he was not. He couldn't shoot. He was you give him the ball and he'll let the ball up. You throw him a lot, he'll dunk it. But Kristaps Porzingis, 7'3" guy, gonna block shots, can shoot from 30 feet. Perfect fit to me. Perfect fit. So, the Celtics are in the finals for the second time under this core. Last time they lost in 6 games to the Golden State Warriors, and Jason Tatum has been heavily ridiculed since that series, and is continuing to be heavily ridiculed. And he has a chance to right the wrong. He has a chance to right the wrong this year in this finals appearance. Now, I think people are already kind of writing him off because of the way he played in the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, he did average 30 points, but he was very inefficient, and there were a lot of spurts where it looked like, okay, this guy he's tripping right now. Jaylen Brown ended up winning the Eastern Conference Finals MVP, but no matter how we want to look at it, they're here. Yes, people gonna say the Eastern Conference was weak this year, and they may be right, especially with the injuries and stuff. But you gotta play the team that's in front of you, and you still have to go out and win. No matter who's out there, you still have to go out and win. They defeated the Miami Heat in round one. No Jimmy Butler, beat them in 5 games. They beat the Cleveland Cavaliers in 5 games. Donovan Mitchell missed the tail end of that series, and they swept the Pacers. And Tyrese Halliburton missed the last 2 games of that series. But it is what it is. They're here. And they deserve to be here. And I personally, I'm not gonna lie, I don't think it mattered whether there was injuries or not. I think they were gonna make it. I had them making the finals back for February. They've been the best team since opening day, and they deserve to be here no matter who they played against. Now, moving to the Dallas Mavericks. Now, Boston Celtics are the best team, have been the best team in the league. But I want to say the Mavericks have been the hottest team in the league since that All-Star break. Now, with Dallas, they finished with a 50-32 record. Their story is kind of different. Last year, they missed the play-in. Now, this is what's interesting. Last year, they actually tanked. They tanked the last game because they did have a chance. They had a chance to make the play-in last year, but they tanked the last 2-3 games so that they could get their draft pick back. Now, with that draft pick, they traded up to get Derek Lively. Now, Derek Lively this playoffs has been absolutely insane. He's been great. Their whole rotation has been great, but that's just a start. So, you bring in Derek Lively, you still got Kyrie, Luka, the crew, and you're coming into the season and they're kind of just, they're doing their thing. It started out hot, but then they kind of tailed off, and I want to say they were 9th or 8th or 9th in the Western Conference. Then they make a trade. They made a couple trades at the trade deadline. They go out and get Daniel Gafford, and they go out and get P.J. Washington. Now, when them two guys came, things absolutely changed for them. Things absolutely changed. I want to say, I don't know how accurate this is, but I want to say with the starting lineup of Luka, Kyrie, Derrick Jones Jr., P.J. Washington, and Daniel Gafford, they have they're like plus 23 games. And that is insane because if you look at how they were last season, if you look at how they were at the beginning of this season, you look at them now, it's like a completely different thing. They've changed their identity. Their identity coming into the season, Jason Kidd said, "We're fine playing in the 120s. We're comfortable playing in the 120s. We're not gonna stop you, but you're not gonna stop us either." And I think somewhere midway through the season, Nico Harrison, I think that's his name, Nico Harrison, the GM for the Mavericks, and Jason Kidd realized, okay, that's not gonna work in the playoffs. Not when we got teams like OKC who can score and defend. Teams like Minnesota who can score and defend. Teams like the Denver Nuggets who can score and defend. We gotta be able to get stops too. So they go out and get Daniel Gafford. They go out and get P.J. Washington. 2 guys that you can that help you out defensively and also adds you offensively. P.J. Washington has become a very good shooter on the outside since he's been on the Mavericks, and he's also playing really good defense. Earlier this playoffs, there was times when he was guarding James Harden, and then this last series he was guarding Karl Anthony Towns for the whole series. So very versatile defender there. You got Daniel Gafford, who's a dog, very high motor. He's a lob threat for Luka and Kyrie. He's a dog on defense. He's a dog on the boards. Exactly what you want. But I think the big thing with that is also that Daniel Gafford starts now, and now you got Derek Lively Jr. coming off the bench. So them 2 guys are splitting minutes. So you don't got to worry about no foul trouble. You don't got to worry about fatigue. You have 2'7". Well, I think Daniel Gafford's like 6'9", 6'10", maybe 6'8". But you got 2 bigs that can come in and be productive. So you're never lacking at the center position. But another thing I want to talk about, Luka and Kyrie. Luka and Kyrie, we know I feel like it wouldn't work if they both were not spectacular. Now looking at the playoffs, in the playoffs, Luka and Kyrie are averaging 13 points. 14 points in the fourth quarter alone in these playoff games. They're averaging 51.6 points in the playoffs combined. And it's like beautiful. It's like the perfect 1-2 punch. It's like Batman and Superman. Like there is no Robin. It's Batman and Superman, because there's a game when Kyrie, we saw game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. Kyrie takes over the first half. In the second half, Luka takes over. And then you got games like game 5 where the two where Luka starts off with 20 points in the first quarter, and then Kyrie takes over from the second quarter on, and they combine for 72 points in a series clinching game 5 on the road. That is very, very tough. That is very, very tough to handle. And I'm just excited to see. I'm excited to see because when I look at these two teams, and I was thinking, I said, if there's any series that I believe would depict this era of basketball, it's going to be this one. It's going to be this series. I feel like if there's any series that can show, hey, how was basketball played back in the 2020s, you can show them this series. Because the way these two teams play is modern day basketball. They're going to shoot a bunch of threes. We're going to throw lobs. We're going to isolate. And we're going to get out and run. That's just the way basketball is played, and I'm excited to watch it. Now, I'm going to look at how these two teams match up. And for me, and the news came out today or came out yesterday that Kristaps Porzingis is active for Game 1. That was my X factor. I wanted to see, okay, Kristaps Porzingis is the ultimate mismatch for anybody really in the NBA, just because he's 7'3", like I said earlier, and then he can shoot from 30. And the way the Celtics play, they play an ISO ball type. They play an ISO ball type game. They have an ISO ball. They have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. They're isolating, and if you help, we're gonna kick it out to the corner. Now the Celtics, I wish I would have gotten to this earlier, but the Celtics their starting five might be the best starting five as far as like just players in the NBA. They got Jrue Holiday, and I didn't speak on Jrue Holiday. They also made a trade for Jrue Holiday in the offseason too. Now Jrue Holiday, Defensive Player of the Year candidate. Jrue Holiday to me is an upgrade from Marcus Smart. So the team got better in every facet. Derek White has emerged to be the best role player in the NBA in my opinion. He was absolutely insane. He does everything you need him to do at the guard / wing position. He does everything you need him to do. So I look at that. The thing about the Celtics have 5 guys that's gonna be able to shoot no matter who's on the court. Whether it's Porzingis, whether it's Horford, whether it's Luke Cornett can step out and hit a 3 or 2. You know what I'm saying? But the defense, I think the defense too. The Celtics are the number 2 ranked defense in the NBA behind the Minnesota Timberwolves, 3-and-D. If there was a team that solidified 3-and-D, it is the Boston Celtics. Number 2 ranked defense, like I said, and they also get up 42.5 threes a game. And they don't just shoot it. They make it. They also led the league they were second in the league in the regular season in 3-point percentage at 38.8, and they're still shooting roughly 36% in the playoffs. Man, it's just a tough matchup for anybody. It's a very tough matchup for anybody. Jason Tatum, these are strong, big guys from 1 to 5, guys that can switch on to pretty much anybody. You know, of course, you wouldn't want Derek White or a Jrue Holiday trying to stop a Gafford in the paint or stop PJ Washington in the paint, but that's not the worst thing either, though. So there are no mismatches to hunt. There's nothing to hunt defensively, and you know you gotta guard. You gotta guard Boston. You gotta guard. Now, one thing that Boston, I feel like they do settle a little bit too much. Yes, they live and die by the 3, and they've been living by it so far this year. But I feel like in this matchup, you don't gotta live and die by the 3, because there are mismatches. You can force a lot of mismatches with this lineup, especially with Kyrie and Luka. You know, they've been good defensively this playoff run, but they're not the best defensively. So with Kyrie and Luka, you can force a lot of mismatches, and you got to attack those mismatches. And I think that's what was the issue with Cat last series. He didn't do a good job of attacking mismatches. He kept shooting a bunch of threes and not making them. Now, if you're making them, shoot them. But if you're missing them, don't shoot them. Now, looking at Dallas Mavericks, they're not too far off when it comes to 3-point attempts. They average roughly 43-point attempts a game in the regular season, and they're also shooting at 37% as well. But their game is kind of different. They don't run the ISO ball and kick out. They do, but they're running P&R centric. Luka gonna get the ball at the top. He gonna have Daniel come here and set this pick. He gonna come off that pick, and they gonna play off that. If you don't help, Luka probably gonna go score. If you do help off the corner, he gonna fling it to the corner. Either PJ Washington or Derrick Jones Jr., who've been shooting relatively well this playoff run, and you got that. But I think the other X factor for the Mavericks is Kyrie, because when you got a guy like Luka Doncic, it's like, okay, he's gonna have all the attention. And then with him having all the attention, you got Kyrie sitting over there waiting for my turn. Kyrie said, okay, go ahead, Luka. And I feel like Kyrie's done a great job of doing that, saying, okay, Luka, go ahead, go hoop. Go do your thing. You know what I'm saying? Go do your thing, man. And I'm going to sit here and wait till it's my turn. Till it's my turn to play. So, man, oh, man. Man, oh, man, I'm excited. But before I get out of here, I do want to give my predictions for the NBA Finals. Now, keep in mind this playoff run, I've been wrong a lot. I've been wrong. There have been several series that I've gotten wrong in this playoff run. And we'll see how this one goes. I look at the Boston Celtics and how they've been all season long and how they've been in this playoff run. I look at the Dallas Mavericks, how they've been all season long and how they've been in the playoff run. And I'm going with the Dallas Mavericks in 6 games. Why? Because I think they're the hottest team in basketball. I think they've been battle tested. They have everything you'd want in a potential champion, and it just feels like their year. You know, it just feels like their year, man. You know, I think back to the Toronto Raptors back in 2019, and one of my homeboys said this to me, and I was like, okay, that's not bad. Toronto Raptors in 2019, their best player at the time was Kawhi Leonard. Right now, Luka Doncic is playing like the best player in the world. Everybody else is doing their job. You got Daniel Gafford and Larry Lively controlling the paint. P.J. Washington and Derrick Jones Jr. being 3-and-D guys. So everybody's doing their job for the Mavericks. And then you got Kyrie, the ultimate. LeBron called him the ultimate wild card. And that's true because this is a guy that can literally win you a playoff game on his own. He literally can. We've seen it in the past. We've seen it even in this playoff series. He can take over the last 7 minutes of a game. Take over. Give you 14 points in the last 7 minutes. Win you a game. Put a game away. And I just think Luka. I think it's Luka's time, man. I think it's Luka's time. It's been a minute since we've been waiting for Luka to make this super mega, you know what I'm saying, all time jump to a championship for years, and we've seen it this year. I think Luka averages the most points coming off a loss in playoff history, and I don't know. I'm going with the Dallas Mavericks. Who y'all got? Let me know in the comment section. I know this is a little thick video, man. We actually hit 100 subs last week, so we hit 100 subs before June 1st. So appreciate y'all for that. Appreciate the love. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. Let me know in the comments who y'all got in the finals, Dallas or Boston, man. And we out. Yeah.